Good morning.
Happy Monday.
Oh, I think you're muted, Michael.
How did that happen?
Now you're back. But
Say it
best day of
again.
the week.
Say it again.
Best day of the week.
Real Monday move to have. I feel like we are just like plagued by a running trail of technical issues. It's like our internet knows it's Monday. But how were your weekends? Did you guys do anything fun?
We did several Easter egg hunts and then church and had family over in the afternoon. So a full-on family holiday weekend over here at the Goldin House. Beautiful.
How many Easter egg hunts did you do? Because I think we did 4.
3, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
lots of eggs around the house.
Yeah.
Same.
Lots of eggs around the house, Brandy?
Yeah, I just did it for myself. I just filled a bunch of eggs with candy.
Hey, the Easter bunny goes to everybody. So
I had nice Easter dinner, but no egg hunts. I did hear from a bunch of friend chats that like whose kids are all in them, like that was the activity of the weekend, obviously. So I had no plans. It was really fantastic. That's like a real rare scenario for me.
Yep, it's the off weekend of Brandy's travels for those loyal listeners. She's vowed to only travel every other weekend.
Yes, but I did go. I was in Sarasota last week, visiting the Prime team down there. It was so nice to be in the sun and see the team down there. So, still not. I don't know if I have one consecutive week without travel in the next like couple months. So,
yeah, surprisingly, in April, I'm on the road every week. So we'll have some stuff to talk about.
We will. But before we jump in, we have a special sponsor this month in April, our favorites, Vrbo. Vrbo has been a longtime leader in vacation rental industry. Everybody knows that, helping travelers find the perfect whole home for their stays, and usually always a host favorite, helping give hosts a lot of tools to succeed. So we're super excited to have them supporting us all month long. And so speaking of, well, kind of the opposite of support, not my best segue, but Jamie, there's a lot of chatter around travel restrictions.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell us what's going on there?
Yeah. So our friend Bailey Schultz at Skift had this great article that came out on Friday titled "Social Media Vetting, $250 entry fees, where U.S. travel restrictions stand." And essentially it's a rundown of like everything that we were worried about at the end of last year that got implemented mostly in the course of the Big Beautiful Bill. And most of it isn't being enforced. And I think the implicit hope in the article, and right now all we have is hope, right, is that none of this stuff is going to start being implemented before the start of summer travel. As if you think travelers already have a visa fee, it's pretty expensive. And so now the extra integrity fee would add $250 per person. So it doesn't apply to a lot of the major Western European countries or Japan or and some of the richer countries. But you think, like, I've got some friends in Brazil. For them to bring a family of 4 to the U.S. this summer to watch the World Cup, it's $1,000 just in integrity fees on top of everything else. So like this could have, like, once it's implemented, a significant impact on international travel. And we're finally starting to work through some of the visa backlogs that have sort of plagued travelers wanting to come to the U.S. And if you talk to any international travelers right now, they're all worried about the social media vetting, like having to hand over your phone and the border control officer sort of scroll through and figure out what you've been posting recently. These are all things that and definitely don't scream like, please come visit the U.S. And as I said, the biggest hope right now is that, and they're going through rules, they're going through vetting, and that they just die in the vine and don't actually get implemented.
I think there's this, I mean, there are a lot of other countries in the world And if I certainly would not travel somewhere to hand over my social media. So I think, we have these big events that are happening and that attract people who will come hell or high water are going to pay $4,000 a night to stay at a Spring Hill in New Jersey to watch their team play. But when we don't have those kind of events, it's like, do we want to pay $1,000 just to get the visa and then have to hand over all this information, which is super invasive and very subjective? Or do we want to take our money to Canada?
Yeah. On the affordability piece, it's definitely a huge hit. And I saw an article maybe on ESPN that parking passes for the LA World Cup games are more expensive than the next World Cup tickets. So just parking are more expensive than the tickets.
Yeah,
That's insane. Affordability is wild. On the visa thing, we're not the only one doing this. I just booked a flight to the UK, and for the first time in my life, I had to pay, I don't know, $25, nothing in comparison to 250, but I'm having to pay just to enter the country. And, how does this look long-term, not just for the US, but all of international travel? Does everyone just put up a wall and start charging more fees? And then, the K-shaped only takes off further because, to your point, Jamie, a family of 4 that makes a good living in Colombia or Brazil or Argentina is now, going to be stuck with another $1,000 of entry fees alone. So with the UK one, it looked like that visa, I can go in and out for the next year and a half or 2 years without having to pay it again. Jamie, is that the case with ours?
So this is in addition to, so we already charge a visa fee. So what you're paying to get into the UK is a visa fee, and that the UK put on as reciprocal because the US was now charging a visa fee for UK travelers. So that I can get, I can get behind though. But that visa does last for, and I think what you said, up to like 2 years or 1.5 years. So this is, travelers are already having to pay a visa fee. This is on top of the visa fee, and just to make it that much harder to get into the US.
We've talked about this in different ways, like on the state level too, when there's, or county level, when we pass these restrictions that like really hamper on the travel industry. And again, it's like, this is such an enormous part of our economy, and we are like just actively like shooting it in the face at every turn. And it's somehow the travel industry continues to like slog through, but like, it's just like, it can't be resilient forever. And when you have so many other headwinds, like I don't know. It's just going to be, I think, one of those things we look back on as like,
I nominate Jamie Lane for Ministry of Tourism.
Yeah.
Ministry of Tourism czar, as we call it. I think, I don't think any of this stuff is going to be permanent. I think this is just a cycle. The $25 visa fee, maybe a $250 social media check, I think is probably more there to scare than to actually do anything, and maybe have people that would have suspect pasts be scared to do it. But for the rest of us, it is certainly an infringement of, I'd say rights, but it's probably the wrong term in this case. We'll see where this goes. My guess is it's not going to stick around for long, if it even gets fully rolled out and adopted.
Okay, well, let's say you actually want to plan your American trip. Are you going to use Alexa to do so? Because that is...
Or book your flight on Airbnb.
Because that's obviously, we've made it 9 minutes and 47 seconds. So now I'm going to say the magic letters, AI.
Too early.
Too early. There's been a lot of talk about different, AI tools and travel and how that's going to be changing our whole industry, blah, 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 blah. But the next one is Alexa Plus. And I hope that someone has their Alexa turned on. Alexa, book a 4-night stay at Amonzo for Brandy. first class tickets, because that's this. Okay, the article talks about how Amazon is really releasing like this next product to get to like book the whole, travel end to end on Alexa. I have opinions, but I would love to hear from you guys first.
I didn't know Alexa could do anything besides play Baby Shark. So
yeah, there are other features.
This is a revelation for me, first and foremost. Secondly, call me crazy, but I tend to book travel more with my eyes than with my mouth. I just don't see how this can gain traction.
So let me start with, I'll raise my hand and say, I admit I'm a millennial.
It's okay. It's a safe space.
I was born in 85. I don't feel comfortable booking flights on my phone. When I'm going and doing big trips, I pull out my laptop.
Same.
And
I'm not even that bad. I'll book a flight from my phone for sure.
Oh no, I book all my travel.
I'd say international trips. If I'm just doing a flight up to New York or something, I can do that from my phone. But if I'm going out and planning a trip, like I'm pulling out the laptop, and that's where I sort of see. The next generation is going to feel way more comfortable with this, maybe than others. My boomer mom, I don't think would ever do that. But what I would say is, there are the simple trips, like maybe that trip to New York where there's one flight every hour. There's no difference in flight costs. Like I need to go out to Denver, up to New York. I know the exact time I'm leaving. I know the flight. Like just go ahead and book it for me. You're connected to all my things. Let's do it.
Comment of the week, Paul.
Yeah. Paul just has a bunch of emojis to Baby Shark. Great work. I was at a friend's house this weekend and he was like, "Oh, do you know the whisper function?" And I was like, "That." And he's like, "You can ask Alexa, like, tell me the time." And he did that and she whispered back, "I don't know how to help you with that." And then he's like, "Alexa, what time is it?" And she was like, "I don't know how to help you with that." And it something obviously needed to be reset. But I was like, if there are little glitches with tell me what the time is, how on earth is this system going to be like, "Yeah, Alexa, book me this trip"? I really hope this is I hope someone's listening to this on speakers and that their Alexas are going off. But Alexa, book my trip to Bangkok. Also when you have a whole list of flights, I can't get my head around how this works practically. And why double down on this?
I'll jump it one step further and say, maybe if I can say, "Alexa, connect me with Delta, I want to fly in 2 weeks to this place. Give me a couple options." If I'm talking with Delta directly and not Alexa to AI search to, some other intermediary platform in booking, maybe. But I think back to my childhood and listening to my dad book a flight from a phone call, and they're going through the options. Well, what time? Oh, that's too late. What is there an earlier one? Is there a later one? And the back and forth, just takes more time than if you just pull up a screen. So I don't know. Maybe I'm millennial, just like you, Jamie. But I do prefer to see them on a screen. On the other hand, it doesn't have to be a computer. A cell phone is just fine for me.
Well, we'll see. I mean, Amazon, is trying. They talk about all the different opportunities for upsells and all of the. I don't see how anyone is going. Would you ever book a home without seeing it? And then so what you have to have it's going to send the link to your phone or to your computer. It's making something way more convoluted than I think it needs to be.
Yeah, Alexa can tell me the weather, play a song or two, tell me some terrible jokes, set a timer, but I don't know. Anything beyond that is beyond me at this point.
Yeah.
On the other hand, AI is a lot more important and relevant, but you get a visual aspect to it. So
Yeah, I built some really like fun diagrams with Claude this weekend. I'm really
Vodka and brandy, getting nerdy over here.
oh yeah, really in it, really in it. But yeah, I guess we'll see what Amazon does. I feel like they are, obviously Amazon is like a leader in so many different functions, but I feel like in the AI game, like that people are using on a regular basis, they're not really, top of the pack right now.
Well, in terms of top of the pack on where you would book flights, would Airbnb be the top of the pack for any of you? Would any of you think to look at Airbnb first for your next flight decision?
No. I mean, I don't even look at any OTAs though. Like I use Google Flights and then I go book direct. So I don't know. I've never booked. I don't think I've ever booked a flight on using Booking, maybe Expedia a handful of times, but I don't know.
Well, it doesn't apply to me because everyone knows I'm a Delta loyalist. But Jamie, you're out of Atlanta too. Probably also a Delta loyalist.
Yeah, but I also see, and most of my friends and family are not loyalists, and they're using the OTAs to book flights. So as Airbnb has announced that they're, and maybe not even announced, they said they're looking at getting into flights. They've been looking at getting into flights since 2018, 2019.
Sounds about right.
And this to me, and this was from an interview that Dennis did with Dave Stevenson at Airbnb, their chief, I think he's chief business officer now, leading strategy. This to me is them and going full court press into competing with Expedia and Booking. Booking has been trying to build the connected trip now for 10 years with varying levels of success. So is Airbnb going to earn a whole lot of revenue from this? Absolutely not. None of the OTAs earn significant revenue off flights, but it can be an important point of usually the flight is, and if not, and along with lodging, the biggest point of revenue. It's where you start your sort of travel, or a lot of people start with the flight. And if you can get people using your OTA to start with the flight, then you have a much higher likelihood of getting them to then book the lodging and then book the car and then book the experiences and have them all stay within your ecosystem. So, and essentially Airbnb's got 3 out of 4 with your car transfer, your experiences, and your lodging. Might as well add the 4th and at least have the opportunity to win the connected trip race.
I've got a lot to say on this one.
Michael takes a deep breath.
So the ethos of Brian gets completely broken by flights. The individual host that he's fought so hard for, and he's done a really, really good job of protecting, it gets just chipped away at little by little. Now, the push into hotels, particularly independent hotels, makes a ton of sense. People travel for different reasons. You want to capture the business traveler when they're not with their family and vice versa. But just to jump to flights, I think is the biggest and probably worst reach that Airbnb can do before you even get successful at any of the other ones that Jamie just listed off. Go get successful at services, go get successful at hotels, and then look for the connected trip. But you're very far away from that. So you can't be everything to everybody, and you're not going to be this connected trip. I would advise you, Brian, and the rest of the team, focus on what's made you and the brand that you've built versus trying to jump into flights and just tick the box to try and trade like an OTA.
The thing is, I kind of think that flights would be more successful than experiences or services or whatever. That's something that I think is so a part of every trip, almost every trip, unless you're driving, you're getting there somehow, And that I would probably be more inclined to use. And then you have your whole itinerary all like together and it looks nice. I would be, and then your host could like automatically have your flight details, like when you're going to get in. I can see a lot of like connections there, like helping you like upselling early check-ins or late checkouts when you know that their flight is going to get in early or late or whatever. I do agree though that like they're taking on all of these different, verticals without really fully executing on any of them. Like the hotels, another like just like what is happening there. But I also think that there's this view that like if they don't add all of these things that Booking and Expedia have, that they're not going to win the race. So I think there's just this. That's what this seems like to me. Jamie.
I'll just say, and we've talked about this in the past, they are grasping for growth at this point, right? Of what is going to hit. You've got to have a lot of irons in the fire, as they say, and hopefully one of them will catch and one of them will be one of those things that can drive this next level of growth that they need. And also, just because something doesn't necessarily work in the US, they are one of those companies that it could take fire in Latin America, or they could be the next new flight booking platform in APAC and in Japan and Korea and Australia. And they're doing their airport transfers. I think this initial launch is all in Europe right now, where there's more of this and a lot of airports that are sort of disconnected from the central part of town, and people needing to get in. And once you get in, you don't need a car, but you do need that initial sort of transfer, where in the US it's like, I'm going to rent a car anyway. Why do I need this transfer thing? While I don't love it as a strategy, I'll mostly agree with you, Michael. Like, I don't see this being their next big thing. I do see it as something that's probably worth testing. And if they can, and what I like is it doesn't say that they're going to try to build this from scratch. Like, I suspect that they're going to
buy Skyscanner.
Or there's lots of ways to bring in flights through B2B. And hopefully they go and partner with someone that's already doing this.
Yeah, Expedia's got a great B2B program. It's really successful. Pipe it through to Airbnb. Let's see how this goes.
But I think, just on the Skyscanner thing, like that was the best part about Skyscanner in Europe, was like, you're like, I just want to go anywhere, and it would show you. So if you could do that with Airbnb, and then it would also pick like the homes, like you could also do that search with like the homes function. Like, I want to go anywhere for this price, and then it would pair your flights. Oh my God.
Well,
college Brandy would freak out over that.
Brandy, they invested $200 million several years ago for AI and have yet to roll out anything substantial there. So it could be a travel roulette. Take me somewhere.
Take
my
me
budget's
somewhere.
$2,000. I need flights and accommodations. Go.
Honestly, it's kind of fun.
So we chatted briefly on this before we went live. Nobody books all of their travel at once. And this is why the connected trip at Booking has never really taken off. And if Airbnb is pushing that direction, unless in Europe, it's pretty common to book everything at once with TUI or some travel operator. I don't even know if they're still around, but old school. You get your flight. You fly on a TUI flight to a TUI resort. It's all inclusive, and it's done. Here's your dates. Show up and drop off. But that's just not really how at least Americans travel. And I can't imagine personally sitting down and booking my flight or my trip end to end. Now, maybe they have some way of cadencing it and trying to keep drawing you in with discounts. I have seen a number of discounts come through Airbnb lately. So they are pushing into the discounting game with travelers and with hosts. So that's an interesting update. But I I don't really believe in the full connected trip either.
Yeah, because you can just, I mean, especially now with so many tools and like whatever AI bot you've become friends with, like you can create your own itinerary, your own connected trip. Like there's all these conversations floating around about like, we talked about this last week, like the Claude killer, like what business, like how quickly is AI basically going to kill it and how you can create this app. But like you can just recreate the connected trip on your own. Like that seems so easy. And so you're not going to need, I think this would be like a warning signal for Airbnb if Booking was spending the better part of a decade trying to get people to do it and it didn't work. Like, is that like really like, are you like, no, we're going to do it differently.
Wait, are you pitching an idea now, Brandy? You're going to create an AI travel planner that sort of brings together all your trips? And
she's predicting a Vitor acquisition, a Skyscanner acquisition, and what else is available? TripAdvisor.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I think that this is a part around the AI conversation is like making a lot of these things that these companies are investing in that will be obsolete. And maybe there's like a certain segment of traveler that it will obviously take a longer time to permeate with. But like if people start becoming hip to like, okay, I can just ask Claude to like, put this all together, or even if you book it all yourself on different sites, but then you give all the information to Claude and it's like, oh, can you put this together in a visually nice format that I can have while I travel? Like you're just not going to need to log into Booking or Airbnb to see that. You can create your own and it will be super personalized to you.
Yeah, well, not bullish on Airbnb flights, not bullish on Alexa booking travel, and not bullish on international travel coming to America. This is a very bearish episode.
Let me end with a happy note, or at least a positive note. So this wasn't on the docket, but it was a story I saw this morning on Skift. And it was essentially the UAE government preparing a big support package for the travel sector in the UAE and Dubai that is just still being hammered because of the war with U.S., Israel, and Iran. So war is still going on. I don't think and markets are feeling great that it's going to be resolved anytime soon. And you look at performance, and we see it in the AirDNA data. STR created a great graph where they compared occupancy in UAE at the start of COVID and occupancy in UAE now with the war in Iran. And they are collapsing at very similar rates, which is really depressing to see. We all saw the impact that COVID had, and essentially they're having a second COVID right now in terms of just people not traveling to the UAE, canceling everything, and that government has come out this morning and saying that they're preparing a pretty significant sort of rescue package for the travel and tourism industry. And we saw it right when the war started, that they were essentially paying for guests to stay in hotels. And now that it looks like they're going to prepare an even bigger package to make sure the tourism industry can make it through this low point, which is incredible that they're able to do. I mean, it's a much smaller industry than the US and Europe, but something that the government looks like they can support for at least a bit.
Yeah, I mean that they've put so much money into their tourism infrastructure, it's good to see that they're going to do something to support it. But the COVID collapse, anyone listening to this that's an operator in this industry knows what that felt like at that time. So just like, I think we can all feel a little bit of empathy to another, group that's going through a similar kind of like just immediate collapse of your implosion of your industry is not fun, but good to see there's some support coming for them, which hopefully this won't last forever and they will bounce right back. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, especially Paul coming in with great comments today. We love seeing you on the show every Monday, and make sure to check out the Vrbo link in our on the screen and in the show notes. We are so happy to have them sponsor us this month. We are good friends with our team over at Vrbo. So hope everyone has a great week, and we will see you all next Monday.